We are live. What's up, world?
Oh
It's your
my
boy.
God.
It's your boy Tyrone Morgan. I'm here tonight with another episode of the Soul Rehab Podcast. Let's go. What's up?
Yay!
We
Hey,
in the building.
everybody.
We are here tonight. And guess what we're talking about tonight? You. But before we get started talking about anybody, we're going to give a shout out to the team. Of course, we have the fervent servant, which is the chosen one tonight, because she is leading the conversation, Miss Anisha Dawson.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all are well on tonight.
No doubt they are. And me tonight, I am forming two roles tonight. I'm fervent servant and I'm the voice of reason because the original one is playing hooky tonight. Don't tell her I said that.
You're in big trouble, mister.
No, we want to send a shout out to our sister Frances Sutton. She's out tonight, and we are covering everything tonight. So we wish you well. Get some rest and sit down somewhere.
Yes. Side down, sis. Side down. Side on down somewhere.
Yes. So on tonight we're talking about something that I think both of us most definitely have dealt with in our lives. And a lot of people struggle through this, and this happened to be on the awareness month for suicide awareness month.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna kind of talk about a little bit about depression and suicide tonight because it's stuff that is very important that most people take for granted. And we want to make sure that we cover this topic since it's something that we experience, and we want to make sure that people don't feel like they're alone when they go through this and stuff. So sorry about that, but
Okay.
you know I'm random. Well, anyhow, because look, we need all the laughs we can in this one tonight because this is a tough topic, especially if you experience this. You know it's a tough topic. And I will say this: do not go through this alone. Do not. You feeling? Don't try to hide it from people because it only takes a second, and you may not never get the chance to recover from this. This is to let you know that this is something you can recover from because we are recovering from it ourselves. So we're going to turn this over to our gracious chosen one tonight, and we're going to let her drive and tell you what she wants to start off with tonight because I'm backseat. She Kobe tonight, y'all.
Oh, God. I don't know about that. So first I want to start off just by reiterating what you said about people not suffering or struggling alone. We say it all the time. You need to find you someone to reach out to. You got to build you a team, get you a squad,
No doubt.
get you a therapist. You got to do something. You got to get you a go-to person. I guess I kind of want to start off with depression and dealing with depression. So depression is an emotional thing. It's a set of symptoms that you experience, but in order for it to be classified as depression, it has to happen for at least 2 weeks, and it's usually every day for a period of time for that 2 weeks. So we could talk about symptoms. Usually you get like a persistent sadness or anxiousness, or you feel empty on the inside. Some people experience feelings of hopelessness, irritability, like not just regular somebody that got on your nerves, but just like waking up, being awake, or everything just irritates you. That kind of irritability. Feeling of guilt, worthlessness, helplessness, like you just can't seem to get yourself together. You can't get out of this funk. You lose interest in your hobbies and your activities. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to get out of bed. Some people don't even want to take a bath. Some people can't clean.
And some people flip the opposite way of that too.
Mm-hmm. They go into overdrive.
They overdrive.
Yeah. That's true. Then you get decreased energy or fatigue. I know for me that's a major thing for me. Like it's like I be on super slow down. And it's like I cannot escape beyond the fatigue feeling. Another thing is difficulty concentrating and memory loss. Like, I won't say complete total memory loss, but like you forget little stuff and you'll get irritated about it because you're like, what in the world's wrong with me? I can't even think straight. Like, I can't remember little simple stuff. And you find yourself not being able to make little things that you think are little simple decisions. Another major one is difficulty sleeping. That insomnia, oh gosh, it'll put you down. It'll put you down. For other people, it's like he was saying, opposite is overstimulated. They become they can sleep. Like sleep day in and day out. I can't do that. Changes in appetite or unplanned weight changes, either weight loss or weight gain, and it just depends on what your symptoms make you do. Do you eat more or do you eat less? You can get the physical symptoms: headaches, joint aches, cramps, digestive problems. I know for me, that's one of the major things. Is like my stomach will bother me so much because I make myself physically sick, not on purpose. And one of the major things is thoughts of death or suicide or possible suicide attempts. That's just part of that depression. There are risk factors include that for depression as well. For instance, biological, like you got a family member who has a history of depression, a parent, a grandparent, a great aunt, any family member that has a history of depression puts you at risk for it as well. Major life changes like trauma or job stress or family stress, certain physical illnesses or medications. Medications have that side effect. I know one of my uncles had told me before he was taking this medication, and all of a sudden he just felt like a whole different person. It's like everything around him slowed down, and he was so sad, and he could not figure out what in the world was going on with him. And later on, he figured out it was the medication that he was taking. So I myself have diagnosed with clinical depression. And Tyrone, it's crazy that we were talking about this last week on our meeting, and I was telling you, and we talked about it in the podcast. And I was telling you about how the seasons, or how for the rest of this year, we could skip to 2023. And talking about that, I was thinking about seasonal depression. So it's called seasonal affective disorder. So it's like once fall comes in, the rest of the year until spring, it's like all downhill for me, for some other people. Like I said, I could skip to 2023 for me. Like I don't enjoy holidays. I don't. Fall, winter, just it's nothing for me. I'm hoping that this year will be better because I'm trying to do some things different. I'm trying to recognize when I'm falling into these very symptoms and go ahead and get a jump start. A lot of times for me, I think I waited until I was already in it. Like I was so stressed out or overworking myself so much that I didn't take the time to really think about my feelings or my emotions. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm recognizing that I'm going into that state. Right. I definitely want to do that now. And I definitely recommend that we all, and that's about developing coping skills. You got to find different ways to deal with your depression. Positive ways. Let me say that. Because we got a history. I done drank it away. Some people try to smoke it away. Some people try to sex it away. Yeah. Try to pray it away. I mean, it is. I'm not saying prayer is not a positive coping mechanism. I'm just saying sometimes you need a little extra something. Yeah. Don't be closed off to all the options for positive dealing.
Yeah, I would add one of the things that I learned about depression is that it is sneaky. And it's like a roller coaster. You have so many ups and downs during depression. One day you feel, matter of fact, you can have those ups and downs within a day, one day time. Sometimes it can be you're fine in the morning, Middle of the day, you crash. You
It's like
know,
North Carolina weather, all over.
no doubt, that's a fact. You be like, man,
Oh,
yeah, I think North Carolina weather is most definitely should be diagnosed bipolar.
bipolar.
Never see.
Absolutely.
Man, it's crazy, but depression is sneaky. And we tend to like it's one of them things that if you start noticing it, sometimes it can almost be too late.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's dangerous because some people, the people around you, always can't pick up on it
That's right.
because we're taught. We learn to mask it, especially when you don't like people. You know, you don't like want nobody carrying your burden, so you learn to
Mm-hmm.
mask it.
Mm-hmm.
My folks didn't have a clue how depressed I was. If they did, they probably wouldn't be leaving me alone like they did.
Right.
But because it's easy to mask, because you can most of the time you can tough it out when you're around people. And so I will tell you that depression is something that you can't take lightly. And that's the reason why we want to talk about depression and suicide tonight, because it's something that you cannot take lightly. It's something that we must be self-aware about. It's kind of like Anisha was talking about a while ago, being self-aware. Like she knows this now that her season is getting ready to come up where she normally is going through a little bit of depression. And so now she's preparing her mind and her emotions to go into that season so it don't be as tough. But she might even be able to miss it because she's preparing ahead of time. So depression, don't take it lightly. If you experiencing them symptoms that she just talked about for more than 2 or 3 weeks, start talking to somebody. Force yourself to talk to somebody. If you don't have anybody that you can trust to talk to, find a counselor. Telling you, we'll be more than willing to talk to you if you need somebody. But we want to make sure that you have somebody. Let somebody know what you're going through, so at least one person can know to reach out to you. And you know, because depression is funny because sometimes I wanted people around, sometimes I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I didn't want them, but I really needed them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of them funny things. And so, what I would tell people who's caring for somebody that's depressed or you think may be, check on them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shoot them a text. Sometimes you might just want to do a random drop by. Hey, a random call. Just like if they come across your mind, just call them. You know what I mean? Like, because you don't never know why they coming across your mind. So just call. And hey, I'm just thinking about you. I don't want to aggravate you. Just want to make sure you're all right. And if they send you back all right, send back, look, I'm here for you if you need me.
Right.
And so, just it's delicate, but I will say that the funny thing was there were times I didn't want nobody, but I knew I really needed somebody to be around me. So it's we just have to be careful. It's I don't, so I mean, depression is one of them things that's kind of hard to figure out. It's like our emotions be so far all over the place from second to second. It's kind of like really hard to find out. And so, during my depressed season, I really did a lot of inner work with God, and He helped me work through mine. Everybody else, that don't work for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just work for me. So I would not. That's not a diagnosis for me to give to somebody. You find something to work. Maybe yours is a therapist and Jesus, because we believe in both.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
do.
So whatever it takes for you to get out, that people who need medicine until their mind is strong enough. If you need medicine, don't be shamed about getting no medicine, because this is a serious thing. I was watching the Red Table, and they had the one about Miss America. She was 30 some years old.
Mm-hmm.
Just won Miss America a couple years ago. Pretty, had everything in the world going for her. You would think she would be the last person to commit suicide. And she was going through some depression since she was younger and been fighting it all this time. And she got tired of fighting and she ended her life. And so, just because, and she was one of the people that was high functioning depression. She was busy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you couldn't really tell. Her mama kind of knew something, but because she had attempted it before, but she thought she had got better because she was going to therapy. But when you fight these thoughts for years and years and years, sometimes it's hard to come out. And it was such a sad story to see somebody, that talented, that beautiful, and had everything in front of her and had a great life, to commit suicide because she was tired of fighting them thoughts that she had. So y'all don't take it for granted. And people quit making fun of people who going through stuff
Yes,
like that. What in
absolutely.
the world is wrong with you? Have some compassion for the people
No
because I
compassion, no
don't,
empathy, nothing.
yeah, because
I
I
can
don't live it.
remember this was on social media and somebody had posted something about something they were going through. And
Mm-hmm.
somebody said, I don't know how y'all can be like that. Or I don't know why it can't nothing be that bad. It can't, you know, if you have never experienced depression or suicidal thoughts, hurrah for you. I'm
You
very
got
grateful. I'm so very glad that you have not had to ever experience that.
mm-hmm.
But there are people out here, and there people are not just doing stuff for pity parties. People are
Right.
really going through things in their head, in their spirit. They're
Mm-hmm.
struggling. And it's not for you to make fun of or judge,
Right.
and it's not for you to take lightly. And that's another reason, I wanted us to do this, to talk about this, was so you guys can be on the lookout for if your family member get missing, if they get quiet and they withdraw and you ain't hurt, you need to go check on, like Tyrone said, you need to go check on your people. Shoot a
Mm-hmm.
text, make a phone call, drop by, do something. Look, I ain't heard from you and I'm just a little concerned. I know my
Right.
grandmother used to always tell me, if somebody pops in your mind, you need to reach out to them. And I,
Mm-hmm.
I just did this a couple of months ago with one of my relatives, and I don't know why she just dropped in my spirit so doggone heavy. And I reached out to her, and she was like, "Oh my God!" Basically, this was just right on it, right in time. But prior to that, it happened to me where somebody else reached out to me and said, "You dropped in my spirit." I needed that person at that time because I had withdrew from everything and everybody. So
Right.
it's very important that if you that you build that team, or you have that person, or you got some people in your circle that you can trust to be like, something ain't right. I got this feeling. I ain't heard from my girl, I ain't heard from my dude. Like, what's going on? You
Mm-hmm.
guys, we got to stop taking stuff so lightly, and erase this stigma that everything just be all right. Like, it will eventually, but you got to get there.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get there?
Right.
It's crazy that people would judge people based off that. Look, I've had my own child on suicide watch. I will never forget what that feeling was like, not being able to go to sleep because I couldn't get him into a facility or something until another. They told me 48 hours. So me and my family, my mom and his dad, we set up and
Mm-hmm.
just made sure somebody was with him until we could get him some help. You guys don't have a clue as to what that is like. That
Right.
is that will tug at your heartstrings, your mind, and everything else. Like, you just you gotta have a heart. You gotta
Yeah.
have empathy. Because I'm gonna tell you something. If you haven't experienced it yet, I hope you don't. But if you
Me
do,
too.
I hope that somebody reaches out to you and assists you through yours.
Right. Yeah. That made me think about you talking about your son. In fact, I seen him at the store the other day. He was so happy. He told me about his job and what he was
Mm-hmm.
doing. I mean, he was really in good spirits, and that was that was good to me. I talked to him
Mm-hmm.
probably 10 minutes at the store, and it was just like, man, I'm excited. Man, I got he had all the goals. He had a
He's
vision. I
got
was
some
like, man,
hope
that's what.
back because he had lost
Yeah,
all that.
yeah. It was good to hear him talk like that. It was so good. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I probably talked to him about 10 minutes at the store, and I told him if he need me to call me. But
Mm-hmm.
talking about him, it made me think about like we. So anybody's at risk, but it seems like his generation is seem like they struggle with emotional stuff, or I don't know if they're more aware of their emotions than what we were, or we won't season enough to deal with emotion because we won't never talk. I don't know, but it seemed like they struggle with a lot of suicide to me. So what do you think about? What are your thoughts on that? Because
I, I
I think I
definitely
read
agree.
something. Go ahead.
I was just saying I definitely agree, and you can see it. Get on social media. You'll see the younger people now talking
Mm-hmm.
about they're struggling or it's a tough time or they feel like giving up. Like, we didn't talk about that kind of stuff when we were growing
Nah.
up. That was
Mm-mm.
taboo, honey. We won't
It
talk about
was.
that. We're gonna deal with
Mm-hmm.
that stuff in private. They
Yep.
definitely are more aware of what's going on within them than we were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree
The
with.
thing about
And
it, though, I think is they have more difficulty seeking help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They'll say it, but then it's like, okay, I've said it, it's out there, but then you got to follow up or follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something that, our generation, we different. We was raised, we kind of like, we're one of them, we're a generation of people that is, I think we bridge the gap between the like older age or older time, the way they deal with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now we understand some of the new, but I have heard people say, and, and I've even said some of it sometimes, like, you ain't dealing with nothing. You ain't going through nothing. I've been through worse than that. And I think sometimes you can be insensitive, but I think with
Yeah.
us, we was just like, we was geared different. It's like some stuff didn't bother us because we've been through some stuff. You know what I mean? We've been through it. So I think it's not good for us to go through stuff because now we dealing with it at our older age. We're in our 30s and 40s. We dealing with all this emotional damage we ain't never took no time to deal with. And they trying to deal with theirs earlier. And since we didn't deal with ours earlier, we think, they being extra. And in reality, they actually doing it the right way because they seeking the help early. We just got to make sure they got people they can trust and that will listen to them and love them enough to give them the help that they need. So, I got a thing I looked at a CDC suicide between 15 to 24. And it says boys are 4 times more likely to die from suicide than girls. Girls are more likely to attempt suicide than boys. Guns are used in more than half of youth suicides. So that was very surprising to me. Because I would have never thought, I guess with boys, they ain't gonna be polluted. Boys, they gonna do something physical. Women gonna more likely take pills or something so that somebody might can save them. Boy, they gonna jump off something, use a gun, or he gonna do something like that because I think that's just the way we wire. But women usually gonna take something so they can go peacefully. So that really surprised me that boys are 4 times more likely to die from suicide. But I guess it's like I just said. So I just wanted to make sure we hit on that and talk to the youth. Look, we need y'all. Y'all the future of this world, honestly.
Absolutely.
And so without y'all, there will be no future. So we need y'all to get help. If you need help, reach out to us. If you know a child that need help, reach out to us. We're more than happy to help out in that situation. So you got what you want to talk about, what you want to hit on next with suicide?
I think I just really want to continue on with the fact that, I think people sometimes are so, I don't know, they just don't have a heart for people. So I don't know how to, it's like I really want people to understand and see, like, nobody's asking you to go through it. I'm just asking you to support me through my thoughts or my trouble. Like I said, if you never experienced suicidal thoughts or depression, hooray for you. But there are so many people that struggle with it every day. It just made me think about, and I think I talked about this before, when I was going through a really rough time last year, and I was working 45 minutes from home, and I would have suicidal thoughts. This was every day. But I just remember, thinking to myself, I drove over this bridge every day to go to work. And I just remember thinking, well, if I drive off the bridge, then it'll look like an accident. And this is why I'm saying this. Let me back up. A lot of people say suicide is selfish, right?
Right.
So, but in my thoughts, when I was having my thoughts, I was thinking, well, if I drive off the bridge, it won't look like suicide. Then my family can still be taken care of because it still got this life insurance policy, 3 or 4 of them that they'll do. At least I can't be here physically for them. I could be there for them financially.
Right.
But I thought about like driving off a bridge, like pulling in front of an 18-wheeler.
Right.
I never considered a gun or anything like that, even though I had access to that. Pills. I've actually taken enough pills that I probably should have not made it, but it just made me sleep.
Right.
I'll just say that. Right. Those thoughts become so intrusive. Like you don't know what else to think. Like you don't. I don't even know how to get people to understand it. I'm not saying I don't want you to understand it by going through it, but I want
Nah.
you to understand what people who do go through it are
Mm-hmm.
experiencing. Like you can't say that it's selfish because if they're like me, like I just said, I was thinking about, okay, I won't be a burden to anybody, but I can still take care of them. Who's thinking of,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what kind of thought is that? You gotta know that it's not done to try to hurt anybody else or spite anybody else. It's just that in that very moment, you are so hurt and you are so broken that that's all that you can think about. That's all that you can see.
All right. And that's true. It's because I mean, even like I mean, because I've been through that. I've had everything planned like this is what's gonna happen, and at least what I'm going through is over. But if I'm not here, my family will be taken care of financially, and so it's like we when you get to them points, so it's kind of like okay, it's kind of like you in a tub and you put a plug in it, and them thoughts are the water. And
Mm-hmm.
them thoughts just keep coming and they keep coming and the water get higher and higher and higher. And so you get to the point that you like, I don't think I'm gonna make it out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so people don't understand, I was one of them people I have always said my whole life, if nobody else don't love me, I love me. I would
Mm-hmm.
never think it.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody told you I committed suicide, you might well go get the police because there ain't no truth to
Somebody murdered me, honey.
it. You got you know what I'm saying? I
Yep.
mean, that was my motto.
Yeah.
But I got to the point that it had ran across my mind often. I never attempted, but I was close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I talk about this stuff because I think men it's taboo for men, but men need to get over that mess. I mean, you can go through some stuff, and it's hard to recover from. And I was going through some stuff that was hard for me to recover from. But it the the honestly the replay of the thoughts it gets so heavy sometimes and you don't
Mm-hmm.
even feel like going. I mean, I can remember at my lowest, I didn't even want to get out of the bed.
Right.
I can remember watching this go. I tell this story a lot, but it was the truth. I watched a Go Cash video with a retired admiral that went through depression, and he said he had got so low that his first goal was to make up his bed. That means if he made up his bed, he was out of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
made that I made that my goal every day. Like, and that helped me come out because it's like, that's what I'm saying. At the time when you going through to hear somebody that understands where you at, it makes a difference. Because
It
if I hadn't
does.
came across that video, I don't know. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But he went through it and he showed how he started. He said he made one simple goal and he said that one goal led him to come out of depression.
Mm-hmm.
Took some time, but it led him to get out. He didn't want to give up no more. And so what I'm saying is this. Look, y'all, this stuff is real. It's nothing to play with. Don't take people for granted. Some people may do it for attention, but if they do it, hey, give them attention because you don't want to be the one time that they really real about what they're talking about doing and they end their life. And like I said about the Miss America winner, um, she left a text behind telling her mom that it was not her fault, that she did everything that she could. She was a great mom. She was just tired of the thoughts. And so, you get like that. So we have to realize that we must make sure that we learn to be there for people. I know we got social media. I know we got all this stuff to keep us busy. We don't visit people like we used to back in the days when I was coming up. We all went to grandma's house and we ate on Sundays and stuff like that. Our holidays, we were always together no matter what, which in my family, we kind of keep that tradition. I make sure I keep it because it was something my grandma did. But, we can't, don't forsake that. Don't
Mm-hmm.
forsake being alone with being with family. I don't care if you don't get along, look, get over it for a holiday. Spend some time during the holiday with each other. Check on people. When your friends are getting quiet and they don't want, they ain't acting themselves. No, if you see some, like even if they start doing, like, man, you been real busy lately. You all right?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't seen or heard from you much. You ain't as talkative as you used to be. You all right? I mean, we start noticing routine changes. You ask them and talk to them. You still may not be able to stop it, but at least you can feel like you doing what you could to try to help them out. So let's do that and let's stop being so selfish and calling people crazy and all that. Man, that's dangerous. And matter of fact, and quit picking on people so much, because sometimes we drive people
Oh
to
gosh,
commit.
yes.
I mean, there's some stuff people say even on Facebook, and I'll be like, man, y'all, that is ridiculous. Like, leave these people alone. I mean, you can drive people to commit suicide.
I can say the one good example that I saw on social media was maybe I think it was last month, and I was watching a live somebody's live a comedian's live, and I don't know what his topic was. I can't remember, but for some reason he was just like he had opened his platform up to people, and people had
Mm-hmm.
just started sharing how they were feeling, and they were talking about depression and they were talking about suicide. So this one lady came on and she was saying that I think she had cancer, and she was just saying she just feel like giving up, and she was struggling financially. She was going through it. By
Right.
the end of that live, that lady's whole day had turned around because different people got in those comments and spoke into her. A guy got up there
Mm-hmm.
and he prayed with her. People were sending money via Cash App. She was so very grateful because she said she didn't have anybody. She said she
Right.
didn't have any family. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, we talk about the bads of social media, but if it wasn't for her getting on that platform that day, that lady probably wouldn't be here today.
Right.
So that's
Wow.
why we said you gotta you got reach out to somebody. Take the chance. Take the chance to reach
Mm-hmm.
out to somebody. Inbox somebody and say, "Hey, Luke, I'm just having a bad day. Can I
Right.
vent to you?" I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
never know. I never knew, especially since doing this podcast, the amount of people that would reach out to me about in relation to all these topics that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
People really appreciate what we're doing, and they
Right.
appreciate you know just having that option. um it's probably as soon as this thing air, I guarantee you that it's going to touch the heart of somebody and the
Yeah.
mind of somebody who needs it.
Yeah.
This is not about us doing for us. This is about
Yeah.
us trying to help others
Yeah.
heal themselves.
That's the gospel. That's the truth. And that's what we here for. This is what we want to do. That's the main reason we want to do the podcast, to have these tough conversations and give our experiences out so somebody can know they're not the only ones going through this stuff. We love to laugh and joke and cut up, but we have been through things, and we want to make sure we share them experiences with y'all, because this is what we're here for. It is to touch the people. God, the one who gave us this podcast to do. And he wants us to reach his people by having conversations that we won't have in church, having conversations that most of the time you won't have in group settings, but you
Right.
will be able to sit here and listen to us, because we're not scared to have them. I'm not scared to tell anybody I had suicidal thoughts, because they were real. Especially me being a man, I feel like I need to be more forceful about them things, because men struggle through stuff and won't never say nothing about it. But here's the thing, I am. God told me I need to be transparent about the stuff I've been through. And so I don't mind sharing, because I want you to know that you're not the only man experiencing this stuff. It's real out here. I mean, the men
Yes.
have a lot of pressure on them to perform all the time. And, this is the thing. If you married, most of the time something happened, it's the man's fault. He's held accountable for, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, in the normal situations, the man is held responsible for if it fall apart. If the bills ain't paid, ain't nobody looking at the woman to make sure that stuff happens. That's the man's job, So we are afforded a lot of pressures, and sometimes, not having people to give you advice,
Mm-hmm.
not having people you scared to talk to another man because he might think you weak. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm past that too. You can think what you want. I know who I am. You can think what you want. I share my stuff. You can think if I'm weak, soft, call me whatever you want to call me, but I'm going to heal. And healing,
Exactly.
in order to heal, I got to reveal some stuff so I can help these other people. And so I'm going to talk about it. I don't care what nobody feel about it, because men, we need to hear about this stuff, because it can be tough being a man. We got a bunch of odds against us, and the odds against us don't make us, they make us break sometimes. And we need to be heard. We need to talk about how we feel so we can let go of that stuff, so we can get back on track to purpose and continue to be who God created us to be. So I want to spend that few minutes talking to the men. Look, reach out. I promise you, I have a gift of counsel and I will use it to help. And I've been through it and I ain't scared to talk about it. So if you got questions, shoot them in the inbox me, inbox the podcast, ask one of the ladies to get up with me, get my number. I'm here for that. So I just want to make sure that hit my spirit right then. So I want to make sure I say something about it.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree, and I know sometimes it is more difficult for a man to pour out himself to a woman, but this is a judgment-free zone.
All right.
I just want you to get it out and deal with it, honey. So I'm available. This
Because
can be.
you talk to a lot of different men about that stuff too, don't you? Right.
I do, and especially with my because this sometimes happens too. With my substance abuse counseling experience, like that really prepared me for being able to talk to men, well, listen to men. So yeah, this is a judgment free zone, fellas. What I'm saying is, if he's not available, I'm available. Francis is available. We can keep this thing. It's strictly professional. This ain't nothing but just getting you to express what you're feeling and process it and get yourself healed, honey.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah, because I know I've heard from other men how hard it is to get other guys to listen and to be portrayed as weak or you whining like a woman and all. Later for all that, you can whine, you can cry, you can scream, yell, whatever you need to do as long as it's healthy and it's gonna get you healed.
That's it. You look, this will be a lot further as a people if we care less about what other people thought. Because this is the thing: the people who judging you, they probably been through something equally as bad, and they just don't want to deal with it, and they keep carrying. So you deal with it. I'm telling you, dealing with it is the answer. You can't run from it. It will eventually catch you and pull you down. So you must learn to deal with what you've been through. I'm a lot healthier. I'm a lot more peaceful because I started working out the stuff that I dealt with from childhood on up to where I'm at now. I still dealing with unpacking different stuff, but I'm doing the unpack. I want to be healed from it. I don't want to keep carrying it on in my life. And so I'm dealing with it. And that will stop some of the depression thoughts when you start dealing with some of the stuff you went through. If you've been experiencing this stuff for years, it's dangerous and you never talk to anybody. Find you somebody to talk to. I'm telling you, I think we are very skilled. And most of the time, if you're not comfortable with them, go somewhere and find somebody who don't even know you. And have a vomit session is what I call. Just get it all out. Get everything that's in you out. Just talk it out. And sometimes in talking, you get a level of healing just by letting it out, and you ain't hiding it anymore. It's hard to hold secrets for the rest of your life. When you hold them secrets, they will have a hold on you. So anyway,
and
I
also,
digress.
Let me add this. If you want to reach out to a professional counselor, and you feel like you don't have the time or you don't know where to start or what to do, you can also contact me. I have put several people in contact with a counselor just for them. So you don't have to talk to us if you don't want to, but we can definitely put you in contact with the right people.
And you do some virtual counseling too, don't you?
I do, indeed.
So that's something different you can add if you don't have time to get away. You got kids and stuff once they go to bed, or you can store away for a minute. You can just have a virtual session, which I think is awesome.
Absolutely.
So, do you think that with the suicide stuff, I want to ask the question. So, we've experienced it ourselves, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this question here. What if you can go back? What would you tell yourself while you were experiencing that? Because I know I would tell myself, Tyrone, you don't have to do this by yourself. Don't carry this weight. It's too much for you to bear. And the good thing, I had a Lord with me and with mine. But that's the first thing I would tell myself. It's too much to bear alone. Even find you somebody. I should have went to counseling. I really should have been to a counselor. like I said, the Lord just looked out for me. But I really should have went to a counselor, because that would be my first thing. Like, go to a counselor, go to somebody that you can talk to, get your feelings out. You know, keep your family a little closer, keep them informed. I would tell myself that, like, keep the people that you trust in your family or your close friends, keep them informed. You know, don't when you have them thoughts, call somebody. You know, learn to just reach out, even if you don't want to. It's kind of like the same method that I had with the getting out of the bed when I seen that video. I should have had that method, like, whenever I start having them, because at one time I was trying to drink them away, and it ain't work.
I did that for a long
So,
time.
so I started drinking and stopped eating. That's what I did.
I got this extra chin because I stopped drinking so much. Stop drinking snacks.
Well, the alcohol. Look, that was the crazy thing with me. I was drinking, and I stopped eating.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped eating, and it's like, it's crazy, man. But it's real. And I'm telling you, I would tell myself, like, don't go through that like that. Mm-hmm. Don't do it by yourself. That would be that'd be the first thing I would tell myself when I was going through that. Don't do it by yourself, because it's dangerous. And it hadn't been for the Lord, I probably wouldn't be here to talk about it. You know, so don't do that. And that's what I would tell anybody else. So you got something that you would tell yourself?
Well, that's exactly what I did. I mean, I had reached out to a couple of family members, and they basically just laughed in my face, you know. So,
right.
Well, Lord,
wow.
I don't know what to do now, and I'm praying. I'm already praying about it, but you know, it was that judgment thing. So I just got online and I found a therapist. I called. I reached out to one person, they didn't respond, and the second person that I reached out to is the person that I'm still seeing today.
Right.
So I tell myself, I tell anybody, reach out to. If all else fails, reach out to a therapist. Then, you know, once things started progressing, once I started healing, I say that because healing is an ongoing process and it's slow, but then my circle started changing. So then that team that I needed, that I thought I had before, I didn't have, it came too. So don't be so. I'll tell myself and I'll tell somebody else. Don't be so upset when people start falling away, because it's probably because the people that you really need are falling into place.
Yeah.
So I would say, I know it seems like it's a lot and it's heavy, but just be patient, because what you need is coming.
That's good.
Pushing. Keep pushing.
That's a good point. Because that's exactly what happened with me. There was people falling away, but I had other people fall right in place. Them people were the ones that helped, you know, carry me through the storm that I was in. And so it's important for us. And, you know, and this is the other thing that over the time I had got used, I have just, like, you know, forgive them. Because sometimes they don't know what to do. And sometimes God the one that move them out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's like, can't get mad with them. Sometimes God moving them out of the way because he got something else for you. And if you stay comfortable, you won't. And so when you feel like you don't have anything else to depend on, you'll start reaching out to the people that he's got in place for you. If you follow his path, you know, he'll put the right people in at the right time. You know, your therapist, you still seeing her, evidently it was a good move for you. You know, so I mean, it's like, so I'm like you know, I wouldn't go through it by myself. I'll reach out to somebody. If family don't work, I'll reach out to somebody, you know, a counselor or a therapist. If you can't afford one, I'm sure they got some hotlines or stuff that you can reach out to.
They do. I should have had those numbers ready.
Yeah, and we'll if you have an issue you don't have nobody to talk to, you don't trust us, we'll get you in contact with the right people. We just want you to know that you got an outlet with us, that if you don't want us to help you, we will at least help you find somebody that can help you, because we've been through it and we don't want to see you go through it alone. We need you to make sure that we want to see you. Look, if nobody else don't love you, we love you, because we know how it is. Sometimes you can feel like you feel down and out because you think the world is against you. Hey, listen, this is something that I had to learn for myself. I don't care what age you at, your best years are still ahead of you, because once you get yourself better and you get healthy and you heal, them are gonna be better days. You're gonna have a joy. Whatever you think you lost, whatever you think you missing, it will be much better in the years that you learn to heal. I promise you, I will put my life on that. It will be much better because you will be self-aware about who you are. You will learn what, just like Anisha, she learned that certain seat she knew she was coming up in the season, and now she's preparing for the season that she's coming up because she becomes self-aware because she's seen it a couple times. She's like, this always starting to happen then. And so that's what you do. She's healthy. She's getting healthy. She's able to be self-aware about what's going on with her before it happened. And that's where we want you to be at. So while we getting ready to wrap this podcast all the way up, we just want, again, I want to tell you I love you. I want to tell you that we are here. If we can't help, we will put you in the hands of helping somebody. And this thing is real. People quit messing with other people, quit picking on them, quit telling them they crazy.
Judging people.
Yeah,
don't have a heart and compassion for people. That's fine. But leave them alone.
Leave them alone. Exactly. Leave them alone. You don't have nothing good to say. Just leave them alone.
You don't have any words of encouragement. Leave them alone.
That's it. We should encourage the people. You know, I know it's different if you never experienced it again. Like she said earlier, we hope you never have to experience this thing because it is terrible. But we want you to know if you have experience or you are experiencing it, that you can come out and there is an other side of it. So don't give up, reach out. And I think I want to end the podcast with that. Don't give up, reach out. And so, you know, we love y'all. You have reached another end of the Soul Rehab podcast. And you know what we do here in Portland, we like to wish you peace out and be well.